Back to our science videos. This is Unit 4 and the last lesson we will have in our curriculum. Okay, this is Unit 4 and this lesson will talk about hormones and the hormones in our human body especially. But first, what do we mean by hormones? You learned from the previous study that the nervous system organizes and coordinate both and activity and the function of the organs of living organisms. But scientists, through these experiments and researches, proved that there is another form of organizing and coordinating of these activities and functions. This is performed by a chemical substance secreted by special cells in the body. These secretions known as hormones. Hormones is a chemical substance or a chemical message that control and organize most of the vital activities and functions in your bodies of living organisms. Like hormones, let's start our lesson. The internal movement of the body is regulated partly by nervous system and partly by hormones. So we have nervous system and we have hormones. Both of them regulate the function of our human body. And the human body contains organ called endocrine glands. These organs produce the hormones, which secrete chemicals called hormones. Hormones are means of regulating body and functions and maintaining homeostasis in the internal environment within the human body. When the hormone secretion is disrupted, the body functions are also disrupted, causing diseases, which is diabetes and goiter, which we will know after some time. Endocrine glands are ductless glands which secrete hormones directly into the blood. The blood carries hormones to the targeted organ where it affects its function. Hormones are chemical messengers that regulate the biological function in human or living organism. Endocrine glands secrete more than 50 types of hormones in the human body. The targeted organ or tissue are the organs that respond to the hormones. So we have hormones, we have endocrine glands, we have targeted organ. Okay, we have some examples here of glands. We have pituitary gland in the brain. We have thyroid gland. We have parathyroid gland behind the thyroid one. And we have adrenal gland. We have islets of Langerhans in the pancreas and ovaries in female and testes, of course, in male. So some major endocrine glands in human body, like first of all, pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. What about pituitary gland? Pituitary gland is a gland which is situated below the brain, inside the brain or below the brain. It has the size of a cake pea. Okay, it consists of two loops. Each secretes a group of different hormones. Its nickname is master gland. This is master gland. This is a mother gland because it secretes hormones which regulate many other glands. It secretes hormones which activate the thyroid gland, the adrenal gland. It also secretes hormones that activate and develops the testes in male and ovaries in female at puberty. It secretes a hormone that target the mammary glands and activates them to produce milk, like in female. It also secretes another hormone that promotes urine contraction before and during the labor. It secretes also a hormone that help in regulating the amount of water in the body. It also secretes growth hormone, GH growth hormone, which targets your muscles and bones among other tissues and causes protein synthesis and the growth of all tissues. Therefore, it determines the height the person will reach in his adult stage. Okay, what about the thyroid gland? The second gland we will speak about. The thyroid gland, the thyroid gland is situated in the neck, the front of the neck. It consists of two lobes, one on either side of the trachea. You have a trachea right here. So it secretes a hormone called thyroxine that has a role in increasing energy or producing energy from food inside the cell. It also secretes another hormone called calcitonin. Calcitonin, from its name, is responsible for help to control the blood level and calcium level. Okay. Number 3, we have the pancreas. Pancreas, of course, you heard about it from Junior 4 and some other sources. The pancreas is situated in the abdominal cavity. It consists of a broad head, a body, and a tail. The broad head is situated in the curve of the intestine, the body behind the stomach, the tail lies in the front of the left kidney. The pancreas has a role in the process of food digestion. Of course, the pancreas also contains other types of cells considered as endocrine gland. They secrete the hormone like insulin and glucagon, which pass directly into the blood. Insulin helps sugar to go inside cells where it's burned to get energy. Therefore, insulin reduces the level of sugar in the blood. Insulin reduces the level of sugar in the blood. Okay, what about glucagon? Glucagon is the opposite one. Induce muscle liver cells to release stored sugar, therefore raise the blood sugar level. Therefore, sugar become available for the use in all the body tissues. Okay, what about insulin and glucagon? Of course, they are all of them, both of them affect the level of glucose in the blood, each balancing the effect of the other. Okay, here is a table, includes the gland, their secretions, and their functions. Like number 1, pituitary, it has a growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, and the hormone. First one, growth hormone. The growth hormone grows of body tissue and their repairs. The thyroid stimulating hormone activating the thyroid gland to release its hormone. Okay, these are the sex hormones activating the genital system at puberty. Okay, what about thyroid? It produces thyroxine and calcitonin. Okay, thyroxine, from its name, releasing energy from food, and calcitonin regulating blood calcium level. Okay, parathyroid gland, produce parathormone, regulating bone calcium level. Okay, pancreas produce insulin and glucagon. Insulin is responsible for stimulating the storage of glucose sugar in the liver, while glucagon is responsible for stimulating the release of sugar from liver and muscle. Release of sugar. Ovaries in female. Ovaries in female produce two main hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen first produces the secondary female sex hormone, while progesterone produces the growth of the endometrium of the female. Testes in males. Testes in male, of course, produce testosterone, which produces the secondary female sex characters like your beard, like your hard voice. Okay, hormones regulating the internal environment by means of feedback. The following diagram are examples that explain how feedback inhibition happens. Okay, first, pituitary gland, the mother one, produce thyroxine stimulating hormone, which stimulate the thyroid gland, which produce thyroxine, which utilizing reduce blood level thyroxine. Okay, this is a very important graph. If the function of an endocrine gland is disabled, this results in the disorder in the body. Like dwarfism, we have a very important term about a function of the growth hormone and the decrease in the growth hormone. What will happen? The dwarfism. The dwarfism, the body stops growing, therefore the person becomes dwarf. Okay, the reason decrease in the growth hormone during childhood. Gigantism. What about gigantism? From its name, the human becomes giant. Okay, this spontaneous growth in the bones of the limbs, therefore the person becomes a giant. Okay, the reason increase in the secretion of growth hormone during childhood. Okay, the disease number 3, simple goiter. Simple goiter, enlargement of thyroid gland and the neck. This is a description. Okay, the neck becomes very big. The reason decrease thyroxine secretion caused by many reasons. One, which is decreased intake of iodine in the diet. Okay. Exothalamic goiter, enlargement of thyroid, increase in thyroxine secretion. Diabetes, of course, cells can't utilize glucose. This is because the decrease in insulin secretion. Okay, some pictures of simple goiter. This is exothalamic goiter caused by excess secretion, and gigantism and dwarfism, of course. You can see them. Okay, science, technology, and society. Of course, science is related to technology and also, of course, related to society. Scientists discovered that the cause of dwarfism is reduced secretion of the pituitary gland in bodies of dwarfs. Therefore, the scientists extracted the hormone from dead corpses and gave them to a child whose body did not produce enough growth hormone. The extracted hormone was so little and polluted with microbes that infected the children with many diseases. In 1979, scientists were able to produce a growth hormone enough through the genetic engineering. A human gene responsible for making insulin was inserted in the chromosome of bacteria, therefore the bacteria made insulin. Experiments continued until they produced enough amount of insulin by genetic engineering in 1985, used to treat children who suffer from dwarfism. Okay. The growth hormone GH is a protein hormone released from the anterior pituitary gland under the control of hypothalamus in children. Growth hormone has a growth promotion effect in the body. It stimulates the secretion of somatostatin from the liver, which are a family of insulin-like growth factor, IGF. These alone with GH and thyroid hormone stimulate linear skeletal growth in children. In adults, GH stimulates protein synthesis in muscles and release of fatty acid from releasing of fatty acids from adipose tissue, anabolic effect. It inhibits or uptake of glucose by muscle while stimulating uptake of amino acid. The amino acids are used in the synthesis of protein. Amino acid is used in the synthesis of protein, and the muscle shifts to using fatty acid as a source of energy. GH growth hormone secretion occur in pulsatile, short, concentrated secretion, and sporadic manner. Thus, a single test of the GH level is usually not performed. Okay, and now we have finished Unit 3, Unit 4, and this is the last unit we have in our curriculum. Of course, if you have a question, you can ask me in the school, anytime, anywhere. Okay, and goodbye. Thank you for watching my videos, and see you later.